Hello, English learners, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
I'm Amira.
Amira and I are here today with an interesting lesson about a hotel situation. Amira, why don't you give us a little bit more information?
Well, the situation is taking place in a hotel, and someone is checking in and is obtaining an upgrade.
An upgrade. Okay, that's an interesting word. Why don't we listen to the dialogue and then we'll come back and explain all this vocabulary.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you?
I'd like to check in, please. I have a reservation under the name Anthony Roberts.
All right. Roberts. Oh, Mr. Roberts, we've been expecting you. And here is your key card to the presidential suite.
But there must be some mistake. My reservation was for a standard room.
Are you sure? Let me double check.
Yeah, here, this is my confirmation number.
You're right, Mr. Roberts. There seems to be a mix-up. Unfortunately, we're overbooked at the moment.
So...
Not to worry. We're pleased to offer you a complimentary upgrade.
Woohoo! Presidential suite, baby!
Okay, everyone. That is nice, huh?
Yeah, the guy is really excited that he's gonna get the presidential suite.
Yes, there's some interesting phrases and vocabulary items here, and I know, Marco, you want to talk about some of them.
Right. The first one, and this is really useful for all of our listeners who travel a lot. This phrase will come in handy, and it is, I have a reservation under the name.
Under the name.
Under the name.
Under the name.
So before we explain this phrase, let's listen to some examples on how it is used in other situations, and then we'll come back and give you more information.
My secretary made a reservation under my name.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't have a reservation under that name.
Do you have a reservation under the name Smith?
All right, some really good examples there on how we could use this phrase in other situations. But just in case, let me explain it real fast. Under the name means that when you go to the restaurant or a hotel and you tell them your name, they know that you are the person that they have been expecting. They have been waiting.
Yes. Well, I have chosen another useful phrase for you, and it is mix up.
Mix up.
Mix up.
Mix up.
There seems to be a mix up. Before we talk about this phrase, let's listen to some examples of how it is used.
There was a mix-up at the airport and my bags were sent to Antarctica.
I'm sorry, sir. There's been a terrible mix-up. We've given you the wrong baby.
Okay, that was useful and funny.
Yeah, that's the baby situation.
Oh my God, imagine that happening.
Yeah, I know.
Well, guys, so a mix-up is a confusion or a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well put.
All right, Marco, what do you have for us?
Okay, the next word that we should take a look at is overbooked.
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 Overbooked. What does that mean?
So if a hotel or a flight is overbooked, it means that they are full. They are more than full.
Right, so they cannot accept any more people.
Exactly.
Okay, now why is this phrase useful?
Because it happens all the time.
There's so many other situations where you can use this word or hear it from other native English speakers. For example, a bus or a train can be overbooked.
Exactly, that's really common. Okay, let's take a look at the last phrase for today, and that is complimentary upgrade.
Complimentary upgrade.
Complimentary upgrade.
Complimentary upgrade.
So this means that, for example, when the hotel is overbooked and all of their standard rooms are full, they will give you a better room, a more expensive room, but free.
Yes, because it was not your fault.
Right. This also happens sometimes, if you're lucky, on airplane flights.
Yes.
So if you are in economy class and an airplane, but for some reason it's overbooked, they will move you to business class or first class for free.
I have a similar story, but I'm not going to tell you about it now. For now, let's go and listen to the dialogue one more time, and when we come back, we'll talk some more.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you?
I'd like to check in, please. I have a reservation under the name Anthony Roberts.
All right. Roberts. Oh, Mr. Roberts, we've been expecting you. And here is your key card to the presidential suite.
But there must be some mistake. My reservation was for a standard room.
Are you sure? Let me double check.
Yeah, here, this is my confirmation number.
You're right, Mr. Roberts. There seems to be a mix-up. Unfortunately, we're overbooked at the moment.
So...
Not to worry. We're pleased to offer you a complimentary upgrade.
Woohoo! Presidential suite, baby!
I love listening to this dialogue. It's just so nice to see that someone is enjoying his upgrade so much, huh?
Yeah, especially since he was expecting just a really normal room and now he's gonna be treated like a king.
So Marco, have you ever gotten a complimentary upgrade?
Yes, I did. When I was traveling through India, I bought a normal seat in the train, but for some reason, it was overbooked. So I talked to the station manager and I got a complimentary upgrade to first class.
I had a similar experience as well. I was flying from Shanghai to Qatar and I actually had an economy seat, but for some reason they just upgraded me and I was so happy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It wasn't overbooked?
Well, I'm not sure because normally the night flight is not that full, but they upgraded me for some reason and I was so happy. It was an upgrade to first class.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yes.
I would prefer a first class upgrade on an airplane. Yeah, any day.
Well, you know what really amazed me was like the food you get there. You know, you have a 5-course meal.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And you get all the drinks you can get, right?
Exactly.
Wow, I would be really happy there. All right, everyone, we're out of time today, but be sure to listen tomorrow because we'll be back again with another great podcast. And also, don't forget to go to our website at englishpod.com and leave us all your questions and comments in our community forum.
Yes, and we would also appreciate your suggestions. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson today. And Marco and I will be back tomorrow with another great lesson for you. But for now, it's bye.
Next, I'm going to bring you an interesting morality tale. Enjoy. The Mystery of Hollowbrook Manor. James Holloway never expected to inherit anything from his estranged uncle, Reginald Hollowbrook. Yet, here he was, sitting in a dusty lawyer's office, staring at a thick envelope bearing his name. "Your uncle's last will is quite unconventional," the lawyer said, adjusting his glasses. "He has left you Hollowbrook Manor, provided you spend 1 full month living there." James frowned. Hollowbrook Manor. He had heard whispers about it. An enormous estate in the English countryside, abandoned for years, rumored to be haunted. But James was a rational man, not one to believe in ghost stories. "If I refuse," he asked, "the property goes to charity." James sighed. He wasn't wealthy, and a massive estate could change his life. "Fine, I'll do it." As he signed the agreement, he had no idea what he was walking into. Hollowbrook Manor stood like a relic of another era, tall, gothic, and utterly lifeless. As James stepped inside, the air smelled of aged wood and dust. The first few nights were uneventful. The manor was drafty, creaky, and unsettling, but there was nothing supernatural about it. Then on the fifth night, something changed. James woke up to the sound of a music box playing. The tune was faint, eerie, and unfamiliar. He followed the sound to a locked door on the third floor. The key was missing. "Strange," he muttered. The next morning, he searched the library for information on the manor. Among old books and journals, he found a diary belonging to Margaret Hollowbrook, his great-aunt. The last entry read, "He's still here, watching, waiting. If anyone finds this, leave before it's too late." James felt a chill run down his spine. That night, James awoke to a whisper. "James." He sat up, heart pounding. The room was empty. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw movement, a shadow flickering against the wall. It didn't move like a trick of the light. It was alive. He grabbed a flashlight and scanned the room. Nothing. But when he turned off the light, the shadow was still there. James did not sleep that night. Determined to find answers, James spent the next day searching the house for the missing key. In the attic, beneath a pile of dusty boxes, he found an old wooden box. Inside was a rusty key and a note. "Do not open the door." Ignoring the warning, James took the key and made his way to the locked room. The door creaked open, revealing a nursery. A crib sat in the center, covered in a thick layer of dust. On a small table lay an antique music box, the same melody he had heard before. James picked it up. Suddenly, the room grew ice cold. "You shouldn't be here." A voice, soft, childlike, echoed behind him. James turned, but the room was empty. The door slammed shut. Something moved in the crib. James, frozen in fear, forced himself to look. Inside was a small porcelain doll, its eyes painted black. Then it blinked. James barely escaped the nursery, locking the door behind him. He needed answers. Back in the library, he scoured Margaret Hollowbrook's diary and old newspaper clippings. A tragic story emerged. In 1892, Margaret's son, Theodore, had died mysteriously in that very nursery. Servants reported seeing his shadow long after his death. One by one, those who stayed in the house too long either went mad or vanished. The last entry in the diary read, "Theodore is not gone. His shadow remains. If you hear the music, run." James slammed the book shut. Then, from down the hall, the music box began to play. James decided to leave. But the manor had other plans. As he rushed down the staircase, the lights flickered. Shadows moved unnaturally along the walls, stretching toward him. The music box grew louder, the sound now echoing inside his own head. "Stay with me, James." The voice was right behind him. He turned and saw Theodore. Not a ghost, a shadow, shifting and twisting, barely human. "I don't belong here," James whispered. "Then neither do I," the shadow answered. The manor shook violently. The windows shattered. The music stopped. And then silence. James opened his eyes. He was outside. The manor was gone. Epilogue, the manor's legacy. A week later, James searched for records of Hollowbrook Manor. There were none. No deeds. No history. No proof it had ever existed. Only one thing remained, the music box on his bedside table. That night, as he lay in bed, it began to play. And from the corner of the room, a shadow moved. "Welcome home, James." That's all for today. See you next time.